Welcome to the Bird's Nest Podcast. I'm Joe Donahue. Thank you so much for joining us. One of the things that I really love about being part of the city of Philadelphia, and especially when I'm talking with Eagles fans, is just the evident passion for the Philadelphia Eagles. And the aphorism, as the team goes, so does the city, is no truer than it is in the city of Philadelphia. And that's in no small part because of the way that the passion for the Philadelphia Eagles, and really all of Philly sports for that matter, bleeds into so many other areas of the fan base's lives. Whether it be parties at the office, whether it be just spending time at home and gathering around for an Eagles game, or anywhere else that an Eagles fan can be found. Now, one such fan actually devoted his fandom to a song that was released just before the Philadelphia Eagles went to the wild card round and unfortunately lost in the wild card round. But he dropped a single that made him almost an overnight sensation in the city of Philadelphia, very simply titled Go Birds.
What if there was a song about a Dallas Cowboys fan that falls in love with an Eagles fan and she never goes back to Texas? Check this out. She could have been there. The Cowboys are sure gonna miss her. I hate to break it to them, she looking bitter green. Tomorrow she was planning on leaving, but she don't win. Changed her philosophies. Was it the fans? Was it the lines? Could be my arm wrapped around her all night. I mean, she was the one when she said the words, not the words you might think. Oh man, she said go Birds.
It's a bop. It's a potential staple at tailgates, and it's available wherever you get your music. And joining us today is the artist behind the song, a man who has been called by Fox 29 Philadelphia the next country superstar, Holdyn Barder. Holdyn, thank you so much for joining us.
What's going on, Joe? That's quite the intro, man. I'm very grateful, brother. Thanks for having me on here. This is fun.
Absolutely, Holdyn. Yeah, thank you again for stopping by here. Now, Holdyn, you're living in the Nashville area, but you grew up in Bucks County, just outside of Philadelphia. What's it been like being an Eagles fan away from your home city?
Uh, well, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of Eagles fans here in Nashville, believe it or not. So there's few, but we're proud down here. We're holding the fort down good. But you know what? I think, being in a city, they have the Titans here in Nashville. So there's a lot of Titans fans everywhere. But, I'll go watch, them on TV or see the fans walking to the game. I've never been to a Titans game, but, it's definitely not as passionate as Philly. And so I feel like I'm one of the lone few down here who has it going on. But I've met some Eagles fans and here in Nashville. So, what's cool is being able to, still represent Philly and the city, not even being in the city. And so this summer, I'm sure we'll talk about it. We've got a lot of fun, exciting shows that I'm going to announce soon in the Philly area. But, being down here, playing Go Birds, the song you referenced live in my shows down here. People go ham for it. And, they'll be like, oh my God, I know that song. So it's cool, man. It's cool being here in Nashville.
Great. Yep, and even if for no other reason, then it's a dig against the Dallas Cowboys, which America's team has very quickly become America's love to hate team.
Oh yeah. Well, you know what too is they always get like, oh, we're America's team, we're the Cowboy, we them boys, it's like, well, them boys didn't last too long in the playoffs the last 30 years. So
No, they did not. Talk to us when you get to a championship game.
Yeah, amen. Amen. That's right, brother.
So, how did this song, and it's been about a month since it was released, but how did this song come to be?
Well, thanks for asking, man. So a couple years back, about 2 years ago, so I spent my entire life heading down the shore. I'm sure that you have or visited the beaches, and so my family, we have a place in Wildwood, and then they moved to Stone Harbor, where I spent most of my summers. I actually probably spent more of my summers in Wildwood, going to the boardwalk and Sam's Pizza and going on the rides and all that, and but so I'd spent all my summers in Jersey, and so Stone Harbor is such a special place in my heart. It's my favorite place in the whole world, and I put a song out called Stone Harbor about the town and the people and the things I love. And I was like, all right, well, this kind of gave a little buzz into South Jersey. I'm like, well, I'm really from the Philly area, so how do I bring uh, you know, that same enthusiasm and excitement that I met through fans down in Jersey, to the Philly area? And I was like, let me write a song about the Eagles, something I love, something that people in the area love, in a country way that I do country music. I love country. So I'm like, let me make a fun song. So I'm like, all right, if we're going to do this thing, we got to do it right. And I'm like, I can't do it wrong. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, well, do I write it about, you know, the Super Bowl? Do I write it about, just the team itself, nothing else? Or I'm like, no, I got to write it about Dallas, and it's a love song. It's got to be a love song or a breakup song in a happy way. And I was like, of course, yeah, got to have that in a country song, right? So um, I decided to write it about the Dallas Cowboys and the Eagles, and a girl who, the song basically is about a girl who is a Cowboys fan, and she goes to an Eagles game at the link, and she falls in love with you, the listener, the Eagles fan. And then she basically concludes throughout the song that Philly's way better than Texas. And she never goes back to Dallas or Texas at all. And she stays with you, and it's the most incredible thing, man. It's great. So what's been cool is seeing all the stories of fans that have messaged me that are like, oh my gosh, this is like my song. We play this all the time, and this is like my life story. I married an Eagles fan, so it's really cool to see that. But the story came about. I was like, I wanted to create that excitement for the playoffs, and I knew there was a tight window to do it. And I thought about doing it this fall, but I was like, no, we gotta run now. And I wrote the song with my mom and my buddy Tyler too. So I did most of it. My mom pitched in a couple lines, and Tyler did too. And but man, I'm so proud of it. And that's kind of how it came about. I really wanted to write a song that would help us get to the Super Bowl. It didn't work, but maybe next year. That was the real reason.
Yeah, at a certain point, no matter how much the fans try to propel the team, it's kind of difficult to do when the team kind of feels out of it by the end of the season.
Man, it was hard to watch, dude. It was they were what, 10-1, and then they finished, I think, 11-7, right?
Yep.
Or 11, something like that, right? So it's I think they've worked out their kinks. I think Nick Sirianni knows what's going on, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the fall.
Absolutely. Yeah, we will absolutely see what happens in the fall. Now, you said to the Philadelphia Inquirer that this song was your way of sharing with the team that the fans still have their back. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Absolutely, man. Philly to me, being from there, obviously we're both from the area, right? Like, you know, you probably see it, right? Like whenever we're in the playoffs or whenever something's going on, or a team starts winning, I feel like the players play best when they know that the city is like supporting them, like actively. Like, if and when they're not playing well, they know that too, right? But I think, at the end of the day, Philly's a tough skinned city. It's like, you know, we're gonna boo you off the field if we don't like the way you're playing. But at the same time, we still love you. We're still gonna push you and pat you on the back. You look at Trey Turner with the Phillies last summer, right? He went through a whole slump. One of the best infielders in baseball, right? Had a terrible first half of the season, and then I think it was like halfway, right around the All-Star break, the crowd at the bank gave him a standing ovation, and clapped for him for, I think, like 2 minutes, just to show him like, hey man, like we still love you. We're happy you're here. And he had an incredible rest of the year. So, that's a perfect example. I was listening to 94.5 WIP about it at the time, and I forget who was talking about, but they're saying that how much they love when Philly comes alive like that. And so, for me, as a songwriter, I'm like, how do I embody those exact emotions, through music and through my way of expressing, right? And so I think, Philly is a city that thrives off brotherhood and camaraderie and you know the fans, right? It's all about the fans, whether it's music, sports, whatever. It's like the teams, I feel like, fuel off of our love and passion. And it doesn't matter, if we end up being a mediocre team after being 10-1, right? Like, we still love them. We still know they're one of the best lineups in best rosters in the NFL, and I think at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. It's about winning too, but it's about having fun. And Philly will always have, our team's backs, and at least I will.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you feel the same way. It's like we can
Yeah.
go through slumps, but the Phillies for the longest time after '08 were rough, man, for like 10 years. And then we
Yeah.
finally started coming around in 2017, with the Harper trade. And then we got Turner, we got a couple great pitchers and Wheeler, and we started piecing together a new lineup, a new team. And I think Aaron Nola is the longest tenured Philly on the team, which is
Yeah.
strange, because I feel like he's a new guy. And so it's funny, man. It's funny how time goes on, but you know, at the end of the day, we love our sports so much, and that's really why I wanted to write the song too. Is to
Yeah.
give Philly, kind of a pat on the back, and all the teams, and be like, guys, look, we love you so much. We'll even write songs about you, but go out there and win. And I think that's the mentality we all have. I
Absolutely.
digress.
And I think that also speaks to the idea too of, I mean, one of the things that I've noticed as I've watched, especially the Eagles, we don't, as fans, support the idea of rebuild years. We
Hmm.
always seem to expect like our team is going to go make a playoff run. We don't have like this idea of, okay, let's take a year, let's make
That's
sure
so
that
true,
everything's
man.
clicking forward. No, this fan base seems to expect like we're gonna make the playoffs every year.
Yeah, and we expect greatness as a city. I think it's in the fabric of the Philly DNA, where you think of obviously Rocky, and you think of all these legends, right? And the heart of Philly itself, and the underdog mentality, and I think that we just Philly's a very blue collar city. It's a very hardworking. It's a tough city, and I think that's reflected through our passion for sports. And I really believe that the teams themselves, they thrive off that, and every year there's an expectation for greatness, like you said. Every year you're expected to go out there and win. And I think that's the mentality of the whole Northeast. New York's no different, not as good as Philly, in my opinion, but I love everybody. But a little friendly banter. But Philly, I think, you're right, dude. You're right. Every year we expect them to go out there and be great. And that's all. I think that's the expectation for every team too, but I personally, if it were my team, and I were Jeffrey Lurie or so on, I can never sit back and be like, oh, this is our rebuild year. It just wouldn't work in Philly. And I think they embody that very well. And it's proven to be so in the last couple of years with our playoff runs, and of course, getting to the Super Bowl last year. And man, I could go on and on, but you're so right about that.
Yeah. You still recovering from the going 5-1 over the course of the last 6 weeks?
I are 1-5, you mean?
That's what I meant. Five
Yeah,
and one in
yeah.
terms of losses to wins. You know what I meant.
Well, you know what? So I was at the Bills game in the rain, and I ended up leaving before the fourth quarter comeback. And I left. I was with my buddy. One, the weather was terrible, but I had to plow it out. But I was like, "There's no way they're gonna win." And so we ended up leaving. And of course, on the way home, it's like Devontae Smith catches a touchdown, and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Oh, of course, I had to leave." But they were having issues. The reason I bring that up is they were having issues that entire game until the very end, right? And somehow
Mhm.
they found the spark to come back and caught the Bills at a weak point. But that whole game, they were struggling. And then you think of, the next weekend, I was at that game too with the 49ers. Man, that was rough, man. Those problems came to life in that game. And as a fan, I felt very embarrassed. I sat next to a bunch of 49ers fans in my section, and I I definitely heard it from them. But it's that whole stretch, man, it started then. I think it really started with Buffalo, and then it just until the Giants, and then Tampa. If I didn't think it could get any worse, it got even worse with Tampa. Well, the Cardinals were bad. Then you got New York, that was worse than the Cardinals, and then the Tampa game was just a dude. I didn't think it could get worse than it did. So,
Yeah.
but I think this team. I think they figured out the problems. They're going to figure them out. And I think, they're still a very talented roster. I think we need to bring DeAndre Swift back. I don't know. I think he's a free agent after this year, right? So I think they're going to
Yeah, I think
re-sign
he
him.
was on a 1 year deal. Him and him
Okay.
and Penny were both on prove-it deals.
Yeah, they need Swift back. They need to run the ball. They need to trust AJ Brown, get him going. And man, I don't know. It's I think we have a shot to make it really far. I don't know if you're into the whole conspiracy theories with the NFL, but the logo for the Super Bowl in New Orleans next year is green and red. So
I did
I'm
see that. I
I'm
did see
hoping
that.
it's
That's more of a like Seahawks neon green than it is an Eagles
yeah, I
Kelly.
was hoping that it was a Kelly green. I'm going for the Kelly
I'm
green
right there
theory.
with you.
No, we'll see, but I think it's going to be the Eagles and maybe the Chiefs again. I think the Chiefs. You know what? I give hats off to Andy Reid, man. They do wonders in the playoffs. I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, you've got Patrick Mahomes right up at the top there, and it helps when you're head coach and you've got Patrick Mahomes right up there. Jalen Hurts is certainly one of the top quarterbacks, but then you've got, I mean, Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be the person who's going to be setting the standard for league quarterbacks throughout the next several years, however long he chooses to play.
Dude, it's unreal what he's done. I saw a stat. He's already won, I think. I think he's already neck and neck with Joe Montana
Yeah.
for some stats. I don't know what stats they are, but the dude's only what in his late 20s. He's 28, I think, and he's already won a bunch of Super Bowls and playoff appearances, and he's got a very big career ahead. The other guy I love so much is Jordan Love on Green Bay. That
Mhm.
guy is a weapon, and he's got a bright future ahead. I don't know if with Green Bay he's going to find the right squad in the next couple of years to make his talent shine. But dude, what they did to Dallas, that was rough. Did you watch that game, that playoff game?
I did see that game, and I was
Oh,
smiling the entire way through.
oh, dude, I know. We got our butts whooped the next day, but it's all good. But Jordan Love, he's a scary quarterback, and I think everybody needs to watch out for him too. So,
Yep.
and Jalen Hurts, but I think Jalen Hurts. I think they just need to come back and get a little slap in the face and wake up a little bit. But we're definitely a Super Bowl contending team, no doubt, next year.
Absolutely. And we will get the chance to see Jalen Hurts and Jordan Love face off at some point over the course of the next season, too, because Eagles and Packers are
Yeah, they're
slated to
playing the
face off
Packers,
against each
right?
other. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, they just went, and I think they don't announce the schedule until early May, I believe. Uh,
We won't get the schedule until early May. The only thing that we know at this point in time is that the Eagles are opening the season. Technically, it's a home game, but they're playing the season in Brazil,
you
the
going?
first Friday night.
You getting a ticket?
We'll see. We'll see if we can do some on-site coverage or anything to that effect.
There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
you going?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. I got to see how much those tickets are, but
Yeah.
but maybe it might be a good little reset.
Hope we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Now, Holden, you getting back to the music element of this. You've been recording music actually since 2018. How did you get into music?
Well, thanks for asking, dude. So my story is definitely unique. So I grew up listening to all kinds of country and all kinds of music. Really, I was born in Houston. My parents were down there, excuse me, for business reasons, but they didn't end up coming back to Philly. They're all from Philly originally. My mom and dad until I was like 2 or 3. So I was raised in Philly, but born in Houston. So while I was like 2, 3 years old, my mom would play, 90s country in the back seat and, Garth Brooks, and he's got two pina coladas. That's one of his songs. I was always go, two pina colada. I would always do that, but little memories. But anyway, throughout middle school, elementary school, high school, whatever, I just listened to the normal stuff that was on the radio. And then it wasn't until uh, the start of my high school career when I started getting back into country music. And so this is a crazy story, dude. And, I tell people this, I literally, so I played tennis my whole life, and I was playing a match with a good friend of mine, Thomas. And this was like spring 2013. So a little over 10 years ago. And there was this blue guitar shaped paperclip, and it was sitting right. I don't know if it was on top or next to it, but it was right there. I couldn't miss it on my tennis bag. And I was like, how the heck did that get there? I was on the court. So I had to have thrown the bag down, get my racket out, play, come back. And lo and behold, there was this blue guitar shaped paperclip that was on the tennis bag. And so I took that as a sign from the universe to start playing guitar. And man, it's been it's been insane. I ever since then, that was already almost over 10 years ago. And I started playing guitar for fun. And then I remembered, I think I heard an old Diamond Rio song, from way back in the day that I had heard when I was little, one of the ones I sang when I was like 2 or 3. And I was like, oh my God, I haven't heard this thing in years. And you know how you hear like an old song and you're like, oh my God, like that thing was great back in the day. It was like that, but for like 100 songs that I had totally forgotten about. And so I started to deep dig into all these artists and songs I used to listen to as a kid, my parents had on. And I started learning them on guitar. And lo and behold, eventually I got here to Nashville, transferred my junior year out of Lafayette College to Belmont University, and now I'm here full time, and I've been here since 2019. So it's been a heck of a journey, man. But it all started with the blue guitar shaped paperclip. So pretty story.
Yeah, and so you kind of alluded to this earlier, but there seems to be some stuff that's coming down the pipeline for you, maybe potential return to Philly for some shows. What's coming up next for you?
Yeah, totally. So we've got a lot of music coming. If you noticed on the song, so it says Go Birds Acoustic. So that's intentional. So people are asking me, is that copyright? I'm like, no, you can't copyright a song title, but it's actually because it is the acoustic version of Go Birds.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a full version that I haven't teased at all, that nobody has heard. And it's the same song, just full version with electric guitars, full drums. I mean, thing's great. And I'm thinking of putting that out for the fall, and come the next season. So we've got that planned. We've got a lot of shows coming up. And man, it's going to be a huge year. We've got, oh my God, new songs besides Go Birds. I've got a song called Beer Drinkers I would love to put out. I've got a song Luke Bryan wrote that he wrote with my buddy Jason that I would love to put out. And, so there's so many little things that, I am really proud of that hopefully turn into big things. And, so it's going to be a big year, lots of shows. This is going to be a big show year for me. And I can't wait to meet all the Go Birds fans in Philly, and find fans that, I've known forever and meet new ones. So it's going to be a fun year ahead, man.
Great. Yeah, and it certainly seems like the whole fan response to Go Birds just in general, but also to some of the other music. I got a chance to listen to Stone Harbor just before we started recording this.
Oh,
And
yeah. Thanks, man.
yeah, absolutely. And it definitely gave me that vibe of like, this isn't just recording like a song about your experiences in your shore town, because everybody's got their own shore town, right? You go in Philly, like for me, it's Ocean City every year. For other people, it's Wildwood, Stone Harbor, wherever you
Yeah,
might go. But it was also kind of like a love letter to just that element of Philly life and that element of the just a love letter to the Jersey Shore.
absolutely, man. And that's, that song it will always have a special place in my heart. It's one of my favorite songs I've ever written, and will always be. Just because I think, even if people haven't been to Stone Harbor specifically or Wildwood, referencing the song, you know, I think it captures, like you said, the magic of the shore and the beach, and the whole thing, right? And people at the end of the day, what I'm learning is people want to feel emotion, right? They want to feel memories. They want to feel, family, friends, love, sadness, happiness, whatever that is, right? Whatever feels near and dear to their heart, they gravitate towards. I do too. And, so when you create something that is, you know, so sentimental to someone listening, it becomes an emotional attachment, right? It almost feels like, wow, I know this person. I know this song. I've been there. And, that's my job as an artist, is to create art and music that inspires people and gets people to think about, something else for 3 minutes of their day, except, you know, whatever may be going on in their life, and to pull them out of the moment and remind them that, life's meant to be fun, and, to cherish those memories. And, people love that. People love that feeling. And that's through the fabric of music. That's why music's so special. But it's cool to see it manifest through Stone Harbor and, local landmarks, and, through Go Birds, because, you finally get to see, you know your thoughts in your head come true, and see how the songs, connect to folks. I had a girl named Amber message me. She's a new fan I met through Go Birds, and she lives in Texas, I think. And we would have all these conversations on Instagram, like, oh man, like, I miss tasty cakes and Wawa and cheesesteaks and all that, man. And you don't take it for granted, because up home you get that all the time. But she's in Texas, right? And she doesn't have those things. But my love for the Eagles and Wawa inspired her to go back home to get stuff, and she said she's going to send me some in the mail. But it's really neat to, at the end of the day, it's really neat to witness. It's not really me doing it, it's the song. And
Yeah.
it's cool for me to be the artist to do it. But what I love is sitting back and just watching it, impact and have such an awesome reaction with all the fans, man. And it's the best feeling, seeing something that you create, have that much impact. And at the end of the day, music unites people. I think, we all have different opinions about life, but, music is one language we all understand. And so it's cool to see a city like Philly get behind it, and to see people really build that pride, in being a Philly sports fan, and being from the area. There's not a lot of country singers from where we are,
Yeah.
and there's very few of us, right? I'm friends with them. There's maybe 5 or 6 that are from the area, and who are here doing it in Nashville. And I think there's a certain type of reputation that you have to have, and a certain way you have to carry yourself to represent in Nashville, a city like Philadelphia. It's a tough city. Not many people understand it if you're not from there. But here in Nashville, I'll tell people, "Oh, I'm from Philly," and they're like, "Oh man," I'm like, "What's that supposed to mean? You got a problem?" And they're like, "No, no, no." And it goes, "That must be rough." I'm like, "No, that's how you see it. Philly's the greatest place, man." And it's a great city. And so I'm digressing. I'm rambling, but it's so cool to see what the fans are doing with this song, and to see the spirit of Philly, shine bright.
Awesome. And it definitely seems like the fans have taken to that. Um, and it's really just, you're right. It's really good to see when all that happens. So,
Amen, dude.
well, Holden, thank you so much for stopping by. Looking forward to your tour's coming up soon. Looking forward to seeing that full version come out later this fall. How can fans stay in touch with you? Stay up to date on your goings on.
Totally. So you can find me on social media at Holdyn Barder, Holdyn Barder, Barder. I'm on every platform, so feel free to send me a message and hit me up and let me know what you think of the music. But you can also find my tour schedule. My website's holdynbarder.com, so you can just head there and everything is there. My bio, my tour, how to get in touch with me, everything you might need. So feel free to hit me up, and it's going to be a big year ahead, and I can't wait to meet you.
Awesome. And we'll make sure that we get a link to your website in the description below. And
Awesome.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it, brother.
No problem. And thank you to everybody for tuning into the Bird's Nest podcast. You can support the Bird's Nest podcast by liking and subscribing to Bird's Nest Media right here on YouTube and by sharing to your social media pages. You can also find us on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Amazon Podcasts, Spotify, and the Odyssey app. And if you're looking for additional Eagles coverage, you can visit birdsnestmedia.com, where you can find a link to our Patreon. And you can also find that link in the description below if you feel like supporting us in a different way. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let's go, Eagles. Go, Birds.
Go Birds, baby.